What's up, everybody? So this is going to be a little update ramble with some extra stuff to it. Previous video I mentioned how my computer took a dive and how I had to go get a secondary computer, which is now my primary computer, obviously, and I wasn't quite sure what's wrong with it. Thanks to those of you that commented with some ideas. I don't have the means or the time right now to really do exploratory surgery on my computer and try to figure out what's wrong with it. But I'll keep those thoughts in mind. And basically, the current setup is this: if I can't get that computer fixed without having to buy new parts because it's old tech and it's not going to be easy to find or worth it really, I'm going to harvest its hard drive and some other pieces that are still usable and viable, and that'll be that. But regardless of what I do, I still have to get some type of video editing software on my computer. I know Movie Maker, I believe, is downloadable for free, but isn't really meant to be with Windows 10, so I don't know if that means it'll have some issues in running or not, but I'm going to test that out and just try to get back into making slideshows. Disclaimer, I know nothing about video editing. The fact that I could do those slideshows is a feat in itself, and that's nothing, I'm sure, to any real video editor out there. So, it's going to be slow going to kind of get back into doing the swing of things for that, which means at a glance and priorities and codices and stuff like that, and other rambles that'll benefit from a slideshow are going to be on the back burner. Not going to go away entirely. It's going to take some time for me to get back into the swing of things with that, because it'll take some time to get the capability, both in programs and myself, to do it again. But I do want to get that back in the swing of things, so don't worry about that. It will be coming back. But I figured in the meantime, instead of doing that as it and calling it a video, I'd do a little update and a little hobby update as well. Well, not so much an update. I do a little ramble and then a hobby update after this update. So, with that said, let me just ramble. It'll make sense. What we're looking at here is a paper towel roll and super glue. And this is more of an older trick that I'm sure plenty of people know. Just kind of like how you don't need zip kicker, you could use baking soda and the like to set off the super glue quickly if you wanted to. It's an old tricks of the trade type of stuff. This is basically, you could say, a MacGyvered pinning for your models, because obviously there's no pins involved. And sometimes pinning is awkward, right? You have a ball and socket joint where pinning could work, but it could be a bit annoying to get it to work. Maybe the models just doesn't have enough material to drill through to establish a good secure pin. Or it's flat to flat surfaces again, where you would require a lot of time consuming pinning and it wouldn't be the strongest bond because it's not that thick of a piece or whatever it is. So in those situations with super glue, and pretty much just super glue, it's not really going to work with plastic glue, because plastic glue works by partially melting the plastic together and fusing it, but super glue just creates a bond. And paper towel can help strengthen that bond. I believe people can also use napkins or regular paper, but I prefer using paper towel. I feel like I can get it to a usable smaller piece easier than paper. And I just like its permeability and all that. So what you do is first do a dry fit with the paper towel, and I recommend dry fitting with a bigger piece, which you're actually going to use just to make it easier to dry fit. And if, aside from paper towel sticking out, if the joint is where you want it and it doesn't feel like it's sticking out too much because you do have extra thickness here, but it shouldn't really stick out any further than normal, then you can go ahead and trim things down and put the glue in there. And what I do for this is I put glue on both surfaces. Well, I start off with the surface I'm going to put the paper towel on, put the glue down, the super glue, of course, and I put the paper towel in there, utilizing a toothpick or something to really get it fully saturated and in where I want it. And I put super glue on the other joint, just because I'm paranoid like that. And then I put the two together, hold it until it's set and dry, and I find this gives a sturdier bond than without the paper towel. And I don't know if you're like me, but super glue, this instantaneous drying almost type of glue that should instantly set a bond, doesn't like to do that for me, but I feel it does a better job doing that with the paper towel here. And really just limited by the size of the piece you need to use and how small you can get it down to fit into places. But not every joint is going to be pin friendly, and this will help to strengthen your joint, just to give it a bit more durability. It's not going to be the same as pinning a model, but it's going to help a model withstand a little bit more shock. Not that you should test it out, but it does increase the strength of the bond. So I haven't tested this with the thicker super glues or anything like that. Just standard run-of-the-mill super glue is how I tested it. So I imagine it will work similarly, but it may not even be needed in those cases. I don't know. But that's one little kind of random tip I wanted to throw out there. And lastly, to finish off this ramble, I thought I'd show you what I was working on before my computer took a dive, and it's Necron stuff. I've had Necron models for a bit, and a couple of things. First word of wisdom is pay attention to the spray paint you buy. I did not pay attention when I spray painted these guys, and I ended up using a silver spray paint back in the day. This isn't going to be its final color, but I ended up using a silver spray paint that was like corrosion resistant and element resistant, and, you know, water, outdoors, going to live forever type of paint. And stripping that paint off with the stuff we can use safely on our models doesn't really work. So I got as much as I could off as possible with vigorous scrubbing with the toothbrush and utilizing isopropyl alcohol and all that. But the paint went on super thin anyway, so the paint I'm going to put over this, which is copper from the Vallejo liquid metal range, will cover it just fine, and I shouldn't really lose any detail. But just let that be a lesson to you. Pay attention to the spray paint you pick up. Even if it's cheap spray paint, make sure it's not super durable spray paint in case you ever want to strip the models down. So anyways, what I did is, because this model is fully assembled, is I broke the pieces apart, which left a joint in there from this arm, but that's okay. It doesn't really hurt what I'm doing. But you can see this isn't really what I changed. It's these two arm pieces. And I guess you could say the back, I took off the power cabling that came off of there. I clipped off the power cabling that came off of here. And you're going to have to do that if you want to try and do this and repose your models easily, because the power cabling is just going to get in the way and you have to clip it anyway. And I took off the little circular bit here that I attached with the cables. And then the big thing, and this is not finished, this is definitely a work in progress, I got to file and smooth this down. I took off the hand bit up here and I took off the blade bit down here. So this arm's ready to go. And that means you can repose it to a certain extent. With the Immortals, at the very least, you have these shoulder pads. I guess you would call it shoulder armor, that doesn't let you truly go crazy with the reposing, and also due to the nature of how the arm is positioned. But instead of having this, you could go a little crazy, just keeping in mind you have that shoulder armor back there. But it does let you do a little bit of reposability, which is nice. Obviously there might be some green stuff or liquid green stuff involved in the end process, but it does let you do the reposing, which was important for me. What I did for the other arm is I took that hand bit, and instead of making it flush like it's just a fist, I left one part open, and I clipped the other part off. And I carefully drilled a little indentation to make this easier to glue, and I took the blade bit off of the bottom of this, and I put it down like this, like it's holding a dagger. It's not perfect, as you can see there, but it was really finicky, and it was a last attempt. Originally I wanted to do something different, but it wasn't working out. But we look at it from the side and everything, it looks just fine, and it'll work for all intents and purposes of what I'm trying to do. And when you put that on, because everything is separate, it makes it a bit easier to repose it as well. So you don't have to worry about anything, and you just have a model that just looks a bit different. Now I'm not going to do this to every Immortal. Some Immortals will have the standard stock posing. Some Immortals will just have a clenched fist over here with the blade on the weapon still. And it's not like they can have a melee upgrade or anything, but it just changes the look a bit. It adds some spice and variety to what's otherwise a pretty stagnant kit. Cool looking, but stagnant in terms of making it your own. Because of the cables and the way the hand bits are attached to the weapon, you have to put together a certain way, or else it just doesn't work. And this was my attempt to remedy that a bit. Not for every single one, like I said, but just to add some difference to the squad, and further bring the army to life if I were to collect a full army. Because I like kind of customizing things and making it your own a bit. And for the Necrons, the kits don't lend themselves too well to that. But I think, at least with the Immortals, it's pretty easy to try and rectify that. So that's where I'm at with this. But then the computer took a dive, so I didn't really do much in terms of trying to put the copper color down, or you know, finalizing, you know, making this piece smooth and everything. But I'll get there eventually. I still have a lot of tweaking to do with the computer, but you'd be surprised when a computer goes down and you don't have a cloud or much on your external hard drive, how much you discover, oh, you got to redo this or reinstall this or redo or re-download this, whatever it is, and it always kind of comes up when you're trying to do something. So I'll get there with this Necron test model, though. I'll get there. Anyways, thanks for sticking through this longish ramble and everything. Hope you've enjoyed. Leave any questions or comments in the comments section, and until next time, take it easy.